Getting into our Kickstarter conversation this morning, we take a look at the Uganda Rwanda feud on the cross-border trade. Now, Uganda has lost nearly $600 million in lost trade with Rwanda since February this year to date. Every month, the Uganda Export Promotions Board registers $240 million on average from both the formal and informal trade with neighboring Rwanda. However, this has not been the case since February this year, when the cross-border trade came to a halt following the Uganda Rwanda tensions that led to the closure of the border.
Now, according to a number of local exporters, some of their trucks loaded with merchandise are still stuck inside Rwanda, but can neither be offloaded nor are they allowed to return to Uganda. Export Promotions Board figures put Rwanda's trade volumes in 4th place after Kenya, South Sudan, and the DRC in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd positions, respectively. While a lot has been reported about the big players in the export trade, little, if any, has been said about the small-scale traders whose livelihoods have been shattered by the border dispute. And this morning, we are glad to be joined by Consolata Tumwesije, who happens to be the Chief Executive Officer of Omukazi W'Omutima Limited. This is based in Kanungo District. You know, we have had a lot of talk about, you know, the big traders, the ones that are moving trucks, the ones that are moving big merchandise. That seems to be our big concentration. But there are those small traders in there that have also suffered a lot, but we seem not to talk about you as yet. First of all, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Let's start with, how much impact has this border close-off been to you people in the area?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you remembered us.
that's the right word to use.
Yeah.
You have remembered.
Yes. Yeah, it's,
Yes.
you know, it has, like they say, when the big elephants are
Oh,
fighting,
yes. Yes.
the grass suffers, and sometimes it's hard to know how much. But I would like to say we have been greatly impacted as communities, because Kigezi sub-region has been a food basket for Rwanda. As we are all aware that most of the food that is going to Rwanda comes from our place, and this means the major four Kigezi districts, which is Kanungu, where I come from, and where my organization is based, and Kisoro, Kabale, Lukunjiri. You know, for us as community people, just hear this thing is happening, and we don't even anticipate, because I represent women. Omukazi W'Omutima is an organization for women who are basically in agribusiness farming. We grow small-scale things. It's like we have a group of women doing onions, and whether they have 15 bags, they have been targeting Rwanda because that market is there. We have women who are in coffee. Our coffee has been mainly going through Rwanda because, you know, for them they are so much supported by Starbucks, and they buy coffee so well. So by the time we run to Kampala traders, for us we've been having a smooth run and good prices by Rwanda.
Those people are closer to you? The prices are good for you?
No, they are so good. They've been into 6,000 compared to Uganda at 5,000.
Wow.
Now, the traders in Uganda are really playing us low because we are into 4,600. That's the biggest. 4,300 at the moment.
And how would that, at this point in time, with all of that was happening, you say it's a community where you didn't even anticipate that it would hit you.
Yeah.
So when did the women start to ask the question of what's happening, and who have you been able to ask the question of what is going on here?
It's like about like the prices, because as I tell you, our coffee, when coffee prices change, because we have no outlet in Rwanda, so you find that the other buyers who are based in Uganda are giving us low prices, because when we are into good business with Rwanda, our coffee, the cheapest green coffee we sell, it is at 5,000 and above, but now is 4,000. Actually, since January, all farmers growing coffee through our organization were like, Consolata, we have hoarded all the coffee in stores. Actually, some of them were like, at the beginning of the term, we are going to sell just too little for children to go to school, but all the coffee is in stores. Even up to now, the coffee is in stores.
You have put it on the side. Now, for the local exporters, it's very easy for us to equate how much they have lost, and they have someone to run to.
Yeah.
But for you, the local on the ground, it's a lot. Who do you run to in cases like this? What do you do? How do you?
In cases like
because
this,
now you are a leader.
Oh yeah.
And they come to you, and they say, well, what do we do? So where do you get the answers that you give them? Who do you run to get the answers?
No, we have actually started committing some organization like Kawacom that is certifying farmers so that they can give them some better prices. But I was talking to Kawacom, they don't still go to even 4,500 for a certified farmer. And before, we were selling it with or without certified farmers, selling
6,000.
it above 5,000. You know, when you look at the way we are doing coffee would even go at 8,000, depending on the post harvest packaging. But now you find that even the coffee that is that is the washed coffee, you sell it at 6,000.
Wow.
Because the market has been affected right from our main hot market has been affected.
Yeah.
So these people here, like you can say in Uganda, they batudondora.
Because they know there is nowhere to take your product
out.
So eventually have to sell it at the end of the day.
You have to sell it. So what some farmers are doing, unless you have really a very touching issue, they have decided to keep coffee in stores.
Wow. Now you say they're keeping coffee in stores. That happens with the goods that you can keep in the stores,
exactly.
and they can wait for, hopefully, when that situation is sorted.
No.
What about the goods that you can't store? What about the onions? What about the tomatoes that need to go right away?
Thank you. Actually, before we look at even the goods we can store, we are, as Omukazi w'Omutima cooperative, it is a cooperative society, we are now moving into procuring this coffee from farmers at a given price and now store it ourselves. Store it. We need to give our farmers price, because they will not be able to go into another production, especially the next season production, if we don't procure this coffee from them, because they will not have inputs. So we are now looking at how do we look at warehouse systems
to get this product off them, so that they can prepare for the next season.
So as a company, we hold it ourselves and wait for this crisis to be done with time.
Now when Omukazi w'Omutima is doing something, and he has mentioned a bit of what happens to the tomatoes and the onions.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm coming to now.
Omukazi w'Omutima, how do you make sure at that point in time, are you having the right people to speak to the leaders? What are the leaders saying about this?
Definitely the outcry has been to our local organizations for example, the local team leaders. Now when you come to coffee, about like Uganda Coffee Development Authority, and they were like, what do we do? This is a crisis and we cannot handle.
There's nothing we can
do. And that's why we felt like now I think we need to procure this, because to be honest, we will not have better production next season, because farmers do not have inputs, fertilizer, they don't have pesticides, because all the coffee is held up in stores.
Okay, now let's look at these goods.
At other goods. Amazingly, when it comes to perishable products, this has been the worst crisis of it, because you can imagine our hottest product that we've been selling to Rwanda is Irish potato. You know, we come from the southern part of Kigezi is really highland, and Irish potatoes are flourishing.
Yes.
Personally, I'm an Irish potato farmer, and I've benefited so much from Rwanda. we were selling Rwanda mainly the seed. Leave alone the food. Irish potato as a food. No, we were selling to Rwanda the seed, whereby a sack, the 100-kilogram sack of Irish potato seed, we would sell it at 600,000. The cheapest would be 400,000 because it is so expensive. But now, you can't have these farmers. And what was so good, the Rwandese farmers, traders, were coming right to our stores in communities. It was not us to transport because we didn't have capacity as women at ground. But we would network with them. They know there is this seed at this store. They would bring their trucks and road and go. But they are nowhere. So trust me, our stores, our Irish potatoes are just overgrown. The seeds are overgrowing in stores. We've lost.
Wow.
And you have nowhere to sell it.
Yeah. Of course, there's the loss on that end, but another thing comes in when it comes to the Kigezi sub-region, that there are a number of Rwandans within the sub-region.
Exactly.
There. Now, last week, I don't know if you're able to hear of the Horizon bus manager who was actually arrested in Rwanda, and then he was released eventually by Saturday. But one thing came out is that the LC5 chairperson of Kisoro was saying if they hadn't released him, they were planning to become hostile to the people, the Rwandans who are living in these regions.
Yes.
So what has the relationship been with those who are living within Kanungu and the other parts of Kigezi, the Rwandans on that end?
Actually, I would do specifically talk about Kanungu. You know, like Kanungu district is bordering DRC, and the south is Kisoro and Kabale. Even before, historically, the percentage of Rwandese who live in Kanungu, they are the natives. So I wouldn't say there is that kind of hostility. If anything, when the crisis started, most of them came back home. Kanungu is still back home. You get it? So most of them, because for us, they enter through DRC to come to Kanungu, and they also come through Kisoro. So most of our communities are populated by Rwandese. So I wouldn't say there has been that kind of hospitality in my district because it is part of their home. But I heard about that crisis in Kisoro, and I think it was not about all the Rwandese, but you know, the situation when people get so frustrated. You can imagine someone can no longer sell their corn, someone can no longer sell their onions, their tomatoes. You get it? And all of a sudden, when someone sneaks in, you know, to try and trade, is then held up. So people get so frustrated. I really wish to appeal to authorities that this thing should stop, because at the grassroots, everyone is stranded. Everyone is stranded. Poverty is now the situation is getting worse because people are struggling on their own, like us small scale farmers, to survive. But now it is.
So now you are keeping some of the coffee has been kept.
Yes.
And the perishable goods, these Kampala people come in Dondola and they take them.
And some people have resorted out of business.
That was my next business. My next question now. Have some of the farmers found a solution? Because you see, you are relying on this farm business, but now it is not moving as it was before. So what are the alternatives? What that you are looking at? What have you?
Farmers, you know, with these perishable goods, some of them, of course, went bad. The farmers completely lost on gardens. Imagine you have onions. If you try to dry, you can't keep them longer in the store. So you just allow people to take cheaply and they get off your hand. But you cannot go back into production without sure market. And for the under umukazi w'omutima value chain, before you encourage women go into onions, you first
have to
define
sure
the market. That's what we normally do. So we have advised all of them,
stop.
Please hold any production unless it is for household consumption, or you are sure you can get market elsewhere. And you know, it comes with also, even if you have some market in Rwanda, sometimes it is hard, like you just mentioned, even when you have a friend, because even our fellow traders in Rwanda are stuck. Like you just mentioned about this bus operator, even our friends would say, you try and sneak something in. But we are also scared, you know. You wonder. And you know, across there, they are too strict. It's not as Uganda. No, no, no. You got there, coming out, it's hard.
Well, one thing that you're mentioning, and you had asked earlier, is appealing to your authorities. And we have what the State Minister for Foreign Affairs says about this whole situation, and we're going to be getting into it. But when we also get back from that, taking a look at DRC, if we have any market in Congo, because one report that has come out is the fact that now Rwandan nationals are buying from the DRC market. So how do we have that alternative work for you as Ugandan traders? Okay. Yeah. Let's take a listen to this.
Whatever is taking place now, as far as Uganda is concerned, is something that can easily be addressed and dealt with if Rwanda is so concerned through regional mechanism that is there to resolve such a matter. Our borders remain open to Rwandese to come and go for trade, to come and go for relatives, to come and go for education, to come and go for whatever region. We will not close our borders. We hope that this assurance by this Rwandese can comfort the Rwandese that we are not in any way encouraging Rwandese to cause rebellionship in Uganda.
There is assurance, he says, that this is something that can easily be resolved. The borders are open. Is that what you see? Is that what's going on?
There has been some, actually, the situation is not as it was at the beginning of the year. Some things are slowly moving out. But as I told you, for us, we are small-scale rural community farmers, and more so women. Although we have some good percentage of men working with us, but we are women. You know, when a community person is threatened into something, by the time they recorrect into these policies and whatnot, unless there is now wider communication, wider assurance that something is happening. Actually, one other support we need is like, how can we be assured that we can have something in now? So that we can have confidence to produce again. Because like for this first season, because we are going to season B, for season A, to be honest, we have less to supply Rwanda. Because we didn't produce, whatever we produced was perished. We have not planted Irish potatoes, we've not planted more onions, no maize. We've not produced for Rwanda. Because previously we were producing for ourselves and Rwanda would take a bigger percentage of 60%. So we need to be reassured by the government that please, something is happening. We have reached some kind of an agreement.
Both governments?
Yes, for both governments, so that we can be able to sneak out. For those people who had exported during that crisis and made that big loss, they are definitely into issues of they had loans, they had what, they're in a crisis. They are recovering, or maybe still in a crisis. But if there could be some reassurance that both governments are now agreeing on something, then we can start slowly by slowly and get back. Because honestly, much as we were the food basket, Rwanda was, for us, we were not complaining.
It was the wallet. You were the food basket.
It was the wallet.
But you see, when you say that you have now halted production, this does not only affect the market. This affects you as a community.
Yes, sure.
Because now you have kids that have to go to school.
Exactly.
You have plans that you have had for a year. You have other things to do. How is that going with the community?
I want to tell you, it's a very big challenge. As a community, there is general levels of poverty. There is no cash in the community. And you know, in Kigezi, for us, we are so much organized in what we call Bataka groups. Are you familiar with that? When everybody must belong to that group of Bataka. And every month you meet, and there is some money to bring on the table in the form of VSLS. And you find even on the table, a group cannot raise even 500,000, which used to be into 2 million per meeting. So you realize that there is some general level of crisis. Now, when children are going back to school, there is no money. There is a problem. So it's like at community level, there is some level of crisis. But what I told you, in the communities, we don't get to understand why until there is somebody to bring awareness. You know what?
This is what is happening
because of
this is
this
the reason
and
why
this.
this and this
So
is happening.
for us as Omukazi W'Omutima, we keep telling them, you know, these are markets, because our markets have been affected here. Our markets have been affected here. Please don't produce this. You don't allow farmers to produce unless you're sure they will have a market. Beans. We've been the main source of beans to Rwanda. We apparently have good orders of soya bean to supply to Rwanda, but we cannot produce for them.
Wow.
So the market is being affected.
Yes,
Now
so
on to
much.
Democratic Republic of Congo.
Yeah, about the DRC, I must tell you, you know, DRC has been at war. If anything, in Kanungu itself, we are hosting a number of refugees from Rwanda. I don't think at the moment, unless there is some assured way of an assurance for us that anybody can produce for DRC. Because they are running to us. We are the ones hosting them. But instead, we are the ones who have been buying their coffee and then selling it to Rwanda.
Oh, really?
Because what they're saying at this point in
Yes.
time is that now that they can't access the market of Uganda, the food basket on this end,
Yes.
whatever is coming from Uganda into DRC Congo is being bought by the Rwandans.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we need actually to know, because we need to know where could be the market points. Because I want to assure you, I cannot assure any of my farmers that produce something we are going to go through DRC, because it is highly impenetrable now because of insecurity. So this Rwandese trader should be able to assure us, come on one of our borders, like Ishasha, buy our products, but cross yourself, manage the risk through DRC back to your Rwanda. But I cannot say we can take a risk as Kanungu women to trade through DRC to Rwanda. That one?
That's not a risk you're taking for now.
No, that one, it's because even going there without any merchandise is highly risky.
Okay.
You cannot come to our borders.
Consolata Tumwesije, the Chief Executive Officer of Omukazi W'Omutima Limited. This is a very, this is a local. I think when most people say local, they think local. This is local times two, or community based.
Yes, community based.
Women helping women. This is an a very, very good, very good initiative to help the women in the region,
Yes.
but have been suffering for the past now 6 months.
Yes, for the last 6 months. And,
Yes.
and when you look at our objectives, we are actually the economic bit of it
Okay.
has been put at a standstill now.
Wow. Thank you very much for joining us for our Kickstarter conversation today. We have been looking at the impact of Rwanda-Uganda feud on cross-border trade, and looking at the communities, the local communities that, of course, surround that area. How much has it affected them? And, of course, like we heard from Consolata here, it's hope that they have in that community, and they hope that both governments can come and clear the air and sort whatever it is that has kept these borders closed for the last and now coming to 6 months, so that they can get back to a better life, and hopefully that will happen soon. Thank you very much, Consolata, for joining us this morning. We'll keep praying and hoping with you that things are sorted, and in case you have a few bags of Irish that are lying there, you can come and just help get them off your hands.
Okay.
And put them in my house.
I will
as well,
definitely
so that
today
we-
deliver some roasted coffee. We do
see?
that has failed to penetrate. Maybe you can help us market it here.
Okay. Good
Otherwise,
stuff.
you see, we had not mentioned it, but now we are stuck.
Yes.
But I will leave a few packets of our roasted coffee,
Okay.
Omukazi W'Omutima coffee,
Yes.
and you see how nice it is, and
Wow.
everyone is just.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
That's all the time we had for our Kickstarter conversation. And if you have anything to add to this conversation, our social media platforms are waiting for you. The hashtag is Morning at NTV. That is on Facebook and Twitter. Morning at NTV continues in just a bit.